Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brothas-in-law. We told you all we'll be back with another video. We thank you again for joining us Thursday night live. It was excellent, got a lot of great feedback from it. So thank you all for watching us on Thursday night. So we come back tonight to talk about the charges that have been brought against three Aurora, Colorado police officers that involved Elijah McClain. For some of you who might not remember, this young man was killed. I would say a combination between the restraining of him by the officers and what the paramedic and rescues
injected him with,
causing him to, I think, go into a coma for almost a week or so, and then ultimately passing on. So we're going to talk about that. Got the video queued up. Again, before we get into it, as usual, go ahead and smash that like button, hit that share button, and hit the notifications so you stay up to date for all our latest videos that we'll come out with. So without any further ado, unless I'm missing something, Mike, am I missing something?
No, that's about it. Again, we're gonna show you a video, and we're going to give you once again, like we always do, we're going to give you our opinions about if we were those officers responding to that call, what would be going on in our mind, what kind of actions would we have taken.
Correct.
Whether it was the same as these officers or different from those officers. And we'll give you an opinion on whether we think that was what these officers did was smart or not.
Right.
It's that simple, you know.
Also, keep in mind this video, as you can see on the screen, this video contains graphic content, so viewer discretion is advised. All right. And here we go.
Stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Stop. 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 I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious. Well, okay. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Stop. Stop tensing up, dude. Stop tensing up, bro. Stop tensing up. Stop tensing up. Stop tensing up.
No, let go of me. No, I am an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking.
Stop tensing up.
Stop.
Relax.
Stop. I'm going home.
Relax, or I'm going to have to change this situation. Stop.
Leave me alone.
Stop.
No,
Cooperate.
leave me alone. No, First off, you guys started to arrest me, and I was dropping my music to listen. Now let go of me.
All right, I'm going to stop right there, Mike.
Okay.
Stop, dude.
Now, for me, I kind of started asking questions at the approach of this. Just the way that he walked up on him real quick. And again, I'm not 100% on the call, other than he was supposed to be a suspicious person with no other type of indicators, weapons, a robbery or some type of crime has been committed. Right. I thought maybe the approach could have been handled a little differently to maybe put him more at ease.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it's my understanding that the call came out basically simply as a suspicious person's call. The reporting party, the person who called, was reporting that this guy either was coming out of a store or he saw him by the store on the street or in the store maybe, but he had a ski mask on.
Right. And
to this reporting party, I guess that was suspicious to him enough for him to feel the need to call the police. Common call for service, I might add. I've responded to you know, probably 100 calls for service of a suspicious person, you know. And
Yeah.
I used to always tell citizens, you know, what may be suspicious to you might not be suspicious to someone
To
else.
somebody else, yeah.
So
I mean,
just to set it up, just to set it up, that's what these officers initially were responding to. The reporting party described him, McClain, and the officers rolled up, and sure enough, obviously there is McClain, and the officers get out and contact him. Now, what's going on in your head though, Corey, when you get this kind of call for service? What's the first thing you thinking?
Well, I need to verify. I need to make sure, for one, that this is the person I'm looking for.
Okay.
And I think for me, again, you know, we don't like Monday morning quarterbacking these things, but we use these as more, you know, training type of a situation. But for me, I think I needed more information. I don't think my approach would have been, I don't want to say their approach was wrong or overboard, but I think it could have been more lax. You know, oh, hey, Doc, let me holler at you for a second, man. I just got a couple questions to ask you. It's no big deal. Just need to check something out.
Right.
You know, we got a call for, you know, a suspicious person that had, you know, that's matching your description. We just want to make sure everything's good with you, and we let you go. That's it. You know, and instead of just, hey, stop right there. Need to talk to you. Stop right now. You're being suspicious. And then go put hands on him.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I agree with you. I think for me, in my mind, as the officer responding to that call, before I even get on scene, I'm asking dispatch, what was it that this person was doing that this reporting party felt they were suspicious? This is information I would like to know before I even get on scene, tell you the truth. Was there, and I'm going to confirm, were there any crimes being committed that was witnessed by this reporting party? Was he stealing something from the store, or what was he doing in addition to just having a ski mask on? Because it's not illegal to have it, although we can both give scenarios where having a ski mask on can in fact be suspicious in certain circumstances.
Right.
But in this circumstance, I need to have something more, because I'm thinking ahead that if I have to stop this guy, if I have to detain this guy, I want to know exactly what it is that I'm detaining him for. And if you don't have anything else other than he's walking down the street looking suspicious with a ski mask on, I'm gonna need a lot more than that for me to go hands on.
Right. I mean, you have no type of probable cause. Another thing, that a piece of information that I would like to have in that is, maybe when I look into on my computer in the incident, I want to see contact information for the person making the call.
Yeah, so I can call that reporting party back myself.
Right. So I can make direct contact with that caller and say, okay, so what did you see? Right. Did you see him commit this act? If they didn't, they just calling in and saying, hey, this guy's wearing a ski mask. He looks suspect. I'm going to call it in. And I think that's, to me, listening to all this and looking at this video and everything and reading all the articles, to me, that's what it seemed like. Hey, somebody just called in. This guy just looks suspicious. I'm calling the police because he's got a bag. You know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not. The dispatchers did their job, but I think more information could have been provided. You know, and for our department, dispatchers aren't sworn officers. They're not sworn employees. So they're trained to ask the who, what, where, when, and whys, but they're not going to be in detail like we would be asking in those type of questions. Right. They're just taking enough information to get it out to you on the screen, so you can see, hey, this is the call for service that we got. Right. Because a lot of times,
I agree.
Yeah. So if they were able to contact the caller directly, they would have been able to get more information, or they probably would have been able to squash this whole thing right then and there by talking to the actual caller themselves.
Very possible. I mean,
You know what I mean?
You're right. I agree 100%. As the responding officer, even if the dispatcher doesn't say more details on the radio in the beginning of the call, I'm going to, as an officer, I'm going to initiate those questions myself, just like you said. And I agree with you right out the gate. I'm not jumping out. I see him. I'm not jumping out and grabbing him.
Right.
We going way. We jumping ahead a little bit too fast here. Was there a need to grab him at all? That's the question.
Now you got to look at the young man's perspective of this. Like, you just rushing up on him and, you know, barking commands at him, and of course his most natural reaction is to be, you know, to put up his defense. Like, whoa, what's going on? No, you don't need. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need to do all that.
So I want to make something clear, though.
Go ahead.
I want to make something perfectly clear to our viewers, to the average citizens. If you have the police run up on you like that and grab you, what, right or wrong, we always and will continue to always tell you to stay calm. Comply is the first word in that acronym of CALM. We will always tell you to comply because you don't know what's going on. These officers aren't going to shoot you or anything. There could be, and the reason why I'm saying this is that in other scenarios, there could be reasons why an officer might first initially come up and grab you and try to detain you physically, depending on what's going on. And I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say we just got a call of a robbery in progress, and the guy matching the description is walking down the street, and I roll up on him, and I see him, and sure enough, he matching the description to a T. That's the 99% chance that that's the guy that robbed him.
Right.
So I might, if I'm close enough to you, I might immediately go hands on, detain you, put cuffs on you, and have you sit down on the ground, and then have that conversation of why I'm stopping you. You see what I'm saying? Now, in this situation, though, completely different. There was no report of a crime. There was nothing hot. This was not a hot call.
Yeah, no weapons involved.
Yeah, no weapons involved. There was nothing other than a citizen feeling like this person was suspicious because of the mask. You know what I'm saying? And you, as an officer, I think you really got to listen to that, and you really got to make a judgment call to say, well, how deep am I really going to go with this guy if you can't tell me he committed a crime and all you're doing is saying he's suspicious?
Right. See, that's the mystery of it all that we don't know. And I've been digging all into this, trying to find out, okay, is there more information to this of why you're trying to stop this young man? And then, you say, yes, the officer has a right to stop you and to ask you, some questions, because you're matching the description. I'm all right. My whole thing in that first part of it is just the whole approach. I think if you have enough information, like you just said, to make a sound judgment on how your approach should be, then, because one thing I don't want you to do is to be startled, because if you start getting startled, then you're going to start panicking, and then you're going to maybe try to run from me. And I don't, we old cats. I ain't running after you, Doc. You know what I mean? So I need you calm. I need you calm so you can do the things I need you to do.
Right. I agree.
Right? So I think that approach set the wrong tone for that young man. And, the world that we're living in now, and all the police and young black men involvement, he took that as, oh my God, that they're coming after me now. Probably, and I'm assuming I don't know that young man, but just based on his reactions, and we'll keep playing this video here in a second. I'm thinking he was scared.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say rightfully so. I mean, when you coming at somebody like that, and they don't, the kid was just coming from home, going home, I think he was coming from the store, getting whatever he was getting, and on his way home. So when you roll up on somebody like that, I mean, you have to be able to put him at ease first. Maybe he, like you said, you don't have enough information.
Right. You don't. There's no report of a crime. Simple as that. All you have is someone who another person thought they were suspicious, but with no crime committed, no witness of a crime committed, or anything like that. I think you're right. I think the difference, the real question is, some would argue, did these officers have a reason to make contact with him at all? Well, sure.
Absolutely.
They had a reason to contact him because he was the subject of a call for service, right?
Yeah.
But it's the way that contact went down. I would have treated it more like a consensual contact. Right. Hey, how you doing, sir? You had the cops calling on you. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? I just want to make sure everything is good to go and find out why someone would think you are suspicious. Can you tell me why you think someone would say you're suspicious? I've handled that call just like that before, and you get a much better response. They stop for you. Well, I don't know, officer. I'm just on my way home. Where are you coming from? I just came from the store, and I live down here down the street. And I'm just walking home. Is there any reason why you have a mask on, sir? I just like it, whatever that reason is. Okay, and that's pretty much it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you had to make that person feel at ease instead of running up on them like that. Now,
in this situation, yes.
Yeah, in this situation, yes. I mean, and no matter who that individual is, I want that person to be at ease, because if you're tensed up and everything, that's just gonna make the situation even worse. Where you start getting all tensed up and you're being argumentative with me, and then automatically officer's going to think, oh, you're not cooperating with me. You're not listening to what I'm telling you, and you're trying to ask me 50 million questions. Well, if you just be quiet, I can tell you why I'm stopping you. I can tell you the reason why we had this call for service. I can give you all the information you need right now, but you just got to be quiet so I can get these things to you and relax.
So we both can agree that we would have made this more of a consensual contact,
absolutely,
than a detention.
Absolutely.
Just real quick, since we talked about detention, real quick, I did some research with a Colorado defense attorney on his website, and he breaks down what a detention is. Basically, an investigative detention is a temporary seizure of a suspect for the purposes of either determining if there's probable cause to arrest for a crime. Well, we know we didn't have that here because there was no crime reported.
Right.
If further investigation is necessary in why this call came out, okay, you might have enough for further investigation, but it's still a fine line. And then finally, if the officer's suspicions were unfounded. For instance, if I'm the officer and I see someone and I think they are suspicious for whatever reasons based on my training and experience of dealing with a particular situation, I can make contact with someone, if anything, to make my suspicions unfounded, make sure that everything's good to go. Those are the only three things. Those are the three things that you can have for detention. But there are some requirements while conducting a detention that officers have to follow in Colorado. And this is basically along the same lines of everywhere, I think. It's just three things. There are three requirements for conducting a detention. Number one is reasonable suspicion. Officers must have had reasonable suspicion to detain. Now, in this situation, could you say they had reasonable suspicion? Reasonable suspicion of what, though? You see what I'm saying? In this
See,
situation,
that's what I'm saying. What was your reasonable suspicion other than the guy wearing a ski mask?
yeah, you
There
was
was
yeah, you
a
can
reasonable suspicion would also mean that you would have to have some type of a action being done or committed to be able to say reasonable suspicion.
I agree.
Like,
I agree.
if you seen me walking down the street with a crowbar in my hand and several blocks away, you've also got somebody calling in and say, you know, somebody been breaking into our house and we think they might be using a crowbar or something.
Okay.
And you
you
see me walking down the street, bebobbing down the street with the crowbar, but I don't have the clothes on. They saying that I had on.
Mm-hmm.
So is that reasonable suspicion to stop me?
I would say so. That would but that's a little bit more than this situation, obviously.
But see, you don't have enough of that right now. Did they still?
In this situation, I agree. They don't have that. They don't have any kind of crime that was reported. So you can't. All you got is him with a ski mask on. You see what I'm saying? You don't even have a situation where someone said a guy with a ski mask just stole something from the store or just vandalized this car or something. You don't have none of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to really establish that reasonable suspicion for that. Now, the second thing is the scope of the detention has to be it expands Although the scope of the detention may expand as a result of changed circumstances, which means once I stop you, if I start investigating what you're doing and you telling me things that's going to make my detention be longer, that's okay. The initial scope, though, must be limited to maintaining officer safety and investigating the circumstances upon which reasonable suspicion was based. So the only thing they have here is he had a ski mask on. So there's no reasonable suspicion based off of a specific crime here. You see what I'm saying? And then finally, let me knock this out. Finally, utilizing reasonable means, even if the scope of the officer's investigation was properly focused, attention may be invalidated if they did not pursue their objectives in basically a reasonable manner. So you need to be able to investigate something in a reasonable manner to get the answers you're trying to get. You can't prolong a detention any longer than it takes you to do that. And that's all you have. That's all you need for requirements of a detention. But that number one thing, like we were saying, is that reasonable suspicion that they got to have and what it's based off of. And I think these officers got tunnel vision. They heard this call for service come out. They saw it, said, "Hey, this is a suspicious guy with a ski mask on." Yeah, maybe that is weird that you got a guy walking around with a ski mask, but okay, he still had a ski mask on, not illegal. No. And they probably had tunnel vision, rolled up on him, and they was probably ready for this guy to take off. As soon as he wouldn't stop walking, they were assuming that he was going to take off, so they went hands on with him. But they should have thought about that first to see if that was something that was necessary or even worth it.
Yeah.
Then let us get back to the video.
I agree. Okay, here we go. Now, at this point here, somebody's body camera is going to come off. So there'll be a couple minutes here where it just be black, but you'll still be able to hear the audio.
Okay.
Relax. Just relax. Relax.
We got him. Elijah McClain.
Use karate.
That's what I was doing. What's his name called? Do I like that? I didn't see very much with it. I
heard some snoring.
I just don't like it. I'm just different. That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually broken.
So sorry. I feel good. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why would you take me? I don't do drugs. I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat. I'm not vegetarian.
See, at this point, I don't know if they are they laying on top of him? Would they handcuff him? Are they waiting, just having him detained on the ground until ambulance gets there?
I think so, because I mean, he's just doing that plea of let me up, talk.
Because at some point, one of the videos I saw that they said they used a carotid on him, which for those who don't know, carotid is basically where you cut off the blood circulation to the brain, which causes someone to pass out. Which is now we don't use those anymore.
Illegal chokehold,
right? Well, yeah, the improper term is chokehold that seems to get used often, right? You're not actually choking the person. The person can still breathe. You're just making them pass out. The problem with the carotid was if you got somebody who's struggling and you trying to do a carotid on them, a carotid could easily turn into a chokehold if the person is squirming around and moving, right? So, you know, I have been trained in a carotid restraint, but I can't remember a time where I actually was successfully able to use it. And we don't. Again, now that's been taken away from. I think all agencies across the country.
Chokehold is no longer
approved.
Yeah,
I guess Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to fast forward here to where the video comes back in. So the young man is still speaking and pretty much pleading his case of, hey, why are you doing this to me? I don't do certain things. So we're going to pick it back up to where we actually can see the video.
Right here. I don't know. Stop.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I can't breathe directly because.
Okay, so they're not like laying on top of him or nothing. He just
he's actually on his side.
Excuse me.
No, he went for his gun.
Oh my God!
See, that's why the camera came off of him, because they got into a scuffle.
He did this thing like, hey, dude,
they said he went for his gun,
but we sat there for a good.
We can't see it in the video.
Like, dude, hey, not a big deal. We need to talk to you. And then he kept doing this, and he kept saying things that didn't make any sense. And then I'm like, hey, bring him over the grass. So if we got to take him down, we can take him down the grass, not by right here by the rocks. And then he starts going crazier, so we get him cornered against the wall.
What's he doing exactly crazy?
He's like saying stuff, and he's holding his arms in, and he's like, I don't remember exactly what he's saying right now, but it's acting really strange.
Man, you need a relief, buddy? Randy, you need a relief? No, I'm good. I'm just going to pat him down.
And then over there, Brody tells me to try to grab my gun. So we pull him down
while he's
so he pulls his arm free and comes out. And I don't remember feeling it because I was focused on him. But he said, try to grab the gun. So I'm like, okay. So he comes down and go from there. And I don't know what this is.
He just thought it was weird.
Well, it is.
So,
okay.
That's all.
I need to add the shoe document that part.
But so I initially tried, and then I was in a bad position. I didn't want to hurt his neck, so I had to release because I was behind. It wasn't like.
So you went to put it on.
So it was like almost like a schoolboy trying to get it backwards, because that was the only position I had. Relax, dude.
So they're just searching him, make sure he doesn't have any weapons on him. anything like that. The scuffle is basically over at this point.
Correct.
And then he can breathe. Back inside. He can breathe. Okay. All right. I just have his arm behind his back. Don't move your feet. Nope. Don't do that. So if you take a step angle outward, it's not happening. At least once. Okay. Stop messing around. Chill out.
Well, we'll just leave him.
You've already been told several times to stop.
I can't fix myself. Ow! Just leave him there until.
See, I don't know what he does.
What
Looks like
was
he
that?
might have. It looks like he might have like picked him up a little and like slammed him down.
Stop.
We had a suspicious call over here.
Chill out.
Got a mask in his face. Acting kind of weird. Nothing really criminal. My officers go to make contact with him. He starts acting crazy. They attack them. Rosenblatt, he ended up trying to put a closet on the guy.
We can't see what
Stop fighting us.
we need to have that camera all on him. You know what I'm saying? They got to look at. Okay. Well, here's the thing. You know, at this point, you're looking at all this as an officer. I'm thinking, okay, what now?
Yeah, here you go. Here you go.
Fights, all right?
And that's the paramedics giving that to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see that and I saw another video too where it sounded like one of the officers said something. We'll give them a shot of ketamine when the ambulance gets here. And
See,
I don't know where that's coming from because cops, where I was, we didn't have nothing to do with any kind of injections or shots or nothing. We aren't paramedics. We're not trained paramedics. We don't direct the paramedics to issue or administer anything to anybody. You see?
I didn't hear that, and I was listening for that because it's.
I think it was another video I saw where he did. There was one.
What is it called? Ketamine or something like that. They gave him
something, and I'm thinking, okay, we don't
do that.
We don't do that, and nor should that have been a directive from any officer.
From any officer. If somebody's being combative, what you are trained to do is we have foot restraints.
Yeah,
we put you in some foot restraints, or we just leave you on the ground in the prone position or on your side, or once we have your legs restraint, then we put them up, and then kind of you can hold their feet down like that, or you can put your foot on top of theirs. You could do other things other than giving somebody a shot.
We have
no department that I'm aware of does that.
We had something called a wrap, where you wrapping their legs up into a burrito style wrap, and it stops them from kicking and things like that. Mm-hmm. So that, but I mean, you look at all this. All this went down.
Right.
What did they act? Did they arrest him, or was he just taken to the hospital?
Well,
I'm not clear on that.
Yeah, he was immediately transported to the hospital because I think in another video I saw they had a shot going into the back of the paramedics and they were doing CPR inside there. So he never was officially, to the best of my knowledge, officially arrested or charged with anything. So
that makes it even worse. So you do all this, you get all into all of this, and you still don't even have a crime yet.
Right. Could you now? Here's a question: there, could they have charged him with resisting?
I mean, I guess you could have charged him as a. When we say charge, to our viewers, we're not talking about what a district attorney would do. We're talking about what we would arrest someone for. Okay. Right. And in this situation, if I were to stop someone and they took off from me after I told them not to stop, a detention doesn't occur until you actually comply to some level that you stop. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's just a chase, a pursuit. If you decide to run from me, then that's a pursuit, or I'm chasing you. or whatever that is. So I guess you could go for not stopping or resisting, not following or lawful order, something along those lines.
Or obstruction.
Obstruction, yeah, that could be.
That would probably be the least. But I mean,
not that they would be charged with that necessarily, because again,
right.
the district attorneys, they're different than the police. The police writes the report. We give them what we arrested them for, and the district attorneys decide whether or not to charge them with that crime.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, I don't think. Yeah. That so what was all this for? A suspicious call.
A suspicious call with no crime.
With no crime. That we were able to find ourselves. And Mike and I both combed through a lot of articles and things and watched a lot of videos. But to the best of my knowledge, now if you viewers have seen something like that he was brought up on charges or a crime has been committed, please share that with us, because I like to stay abreast with this.
Right. We definitely don't see that in this video. We don't see that.
Yeah.
It's our understanding that there was no crime committed. All you have is him just refusing to stop.
So now let's talk about was this right or wrong?
Well, I think it could have been handled a whole lot differently.
It could have been handled. Now, I guess last week or week before last, these 3 officers were brought up on charges. I believe they were charged with manslaughter and criminal negligence, homicide, as well as a couple other paramedic guys were charged too. So, are the police responsible for this young man's death, or is it the paramedics responsible for his death?
Well, that's a good question. As we know, they decided to charge these officers and the paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be interested to see how that
plays out. Yeah,
and all of that. Because look at it this way.
Well, let me ask you this: would the question then be who gave the authorization for that shot? And from what I understand, it was more than what he should have got based on, I guess, his weight. So it was they didn't even give him the right doses.
And see, my thing is, I don't know how it works in California with those cops and paramedics. But in not California.
Colorado, yeah.
In Colorado.
I know what you meant.
But in California, cops ain't got nothing to do with administering shots that telling paramedics to give them this shot or that. We don't have the expertise in dealing with any of that. So if that had something to do with his death, even if that officer said that out loud, he might have been thinking it maybe because he's seen that before with paramedics doing. Yeah, we've all seen paramedics administer stuff for someone who is still kind of out of control, kicking and screaming, and then they got to go into the ambulance and they give them something to calm down. We've all seen that, but that's not at the direction of police. Yeah. That is the paramedic who is the trained expert in administering stuff like that.
So should the cops have been charged then? If they didn't say, hey, give him a shot of that ketamine, and the paramedics took it upon themselves to do that, should the officer still have been charged with his death?
That's a good question, because the way the climate is today, it sounds like officers are getting charged now. I mean, I think we broke this down once before, but let's say I get into a scuffle with a suspect as an officer, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm pinning this guy down, trying to get his arms behind his back, or he's still tensing up and resisting, and I'm just laying on his back to keep him pinned down, to stop him from kicking and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I get up, he calms down, we get him in the back of the ambulance for a medical clearance, right? And on the way to the hospital, he dies.
Mm-hmm.
And they can easily come back and say, well, part of the reason why that suspect died was because the officer was physically restraining him, right? If you use that logic, an officer could be charged with deaths of every suspect who ends up dying in custody. You see what I'm saying? Which is crazy to me, but that's the way it seems to be going. Now, in this situation, I mean, that's rough because they are right or wrong. They would have to physically restrain him because he chose to not go with the program, at least initially. Now,
Right.
we've discussed the right or wrong of that. No, I don't think they should have went hands-on initially. I think this should have been a consensual contact. Had it been a consensual contact and they just decided to let him go with no crime, we wouldn't be talking about this now. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let's make that clear. I think those officers, as an officer, I would have done the consensual contact route. I would not, and Corey, I think you with me on that. I would not have gone hands-on under these types of circumstances. And if he didn't want to stop for me, I would once again just confirm whether or not a crime was committed by the reporting party. And if they say no, he just looked out of place or whatever, okay, I'm letting him go and I'm not dealing with him. I might keep an eye on him and see where he goes, but I ain't going hands-on getting some physical confrontation over somebody who just says he looks suspicious. That's
now the $1 million question, I think, is, was this a racial incident? Was this white police targeting a black person?
Okay, well, you can't really say they were targeting him because he was black. He was the subject.
Okay, racial profiling.
You can't say that because he was the subject of a call for service. He was the person that they should have been looking for, that they would have contacted. So you can't say because he was black, that's why the officers contacted him. No, that doesn't add up. You see what I'm saying? You'll have people that will argue, well, the way they treated him was based off of his race. They'll say because if he was a white guy, they wouldn't have done all of that.
They wouldn't have went hand. Maybe they would have gave him that casual approach like we were just talking about.
Right. That too is a little difficult for me to believe. I mean, you'll never know. So I'm not going to speculate that because I see it as a person they were attempting to detain, who was attempting to walk away from them. Would they have let the white guy go versus the black guy go? No, I don't think they would have let the white guy go. They would have tried to stop the white guy just like they tried to stop the black guy. That's what I look. That seems logical to me. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really say that this was based on Elijah McClain being black. I don't see that. Now, if somebody doesn't see that, okay,
I don't see
you can't argue with them on that. Everybody got their own opinions, right? But again, that doesn't change the circumstances of the encounter as a whole. You still have a person who was reported as being suspicious, well, no matter what color they were. You still had a person wearing a ski mask, no matter what color they were. And these officers decided to go hands-on and escalate the contact because he wouldn't stop.
I think that will be the problem. So if you had to ask me what training methods or what could have been done different in this case to ensure something like this doesn't happen again, one, for me, it's always going to be make sure you got enough information before you go conduct that stop or conduct that interaction. Make sure you got enough information so you're stopping the right person or attempting to stop the right person and questioning them And if there's no crime involved in it, that you can tell at the moment based on the information you do have, because you didn't get enough information, then your approach, your tactics have to be done differently. You
I
don't,
agree.
not so much just automatically assuming that they're going to be aggressive with you.
Right. I agree. You really got to think
and keep in mind, always as officers, everything's always about officer safety. I mean, of course, keep your head on a swivel, be ready to react. But you know, you get there, you're conducting an interview. It's how you deliver your words is how that individual is going to react to you.
True. True. And again, that's a situational thing. It depends on what kind of call we're talking about. It depends on all the circumstances that led up to this type of contact. I mean, today, as we said before, us going to this kind of call today, I ain't just rushing in putting my hands on somebody when I don't have a crime.
Right.
If you can't tell me that there's no crime, that's not how I'm going to do it. And we used to get, we used to get calls like this all the time. Suspicious people. We used to get calls about door-to-door solicitors going in the neighborhood. And in the city where I worked, you had to have a permit from the city to do door-to-door solicitation, right? So oftentimes we would get calls of door-to-door solicitors saying they don't have a license or something like that. Or they were too aggressive, or you name it. They would call it in as a suspicious person.
Right.
And I would respond to these calls. Number one, I got to have more than just they were suspicious or they were aggressive. And when I contact them, unless I have a crime, when I contact them, it's more of a consensual contact. I need to speak to you just for a moment. If I do detain them, it's only to confirm whether or not they have a city permit to do what they're doing. Right. And if they don't have a city permit, well, obviously that's a crime, so you can get a ticket for that. So now it's a detention. It's not a consensual contact. It's just a detention.
Right.
But I think officers today really got to look at those calls, like you said, and you got to ask those follow-up questions, because you got to be thinking in your mind, if I'm going to stop this guy and he starts to fight me, what am I stopping him for? Is there a crime? Real quick, give you another example. Another officer and I, we had gotten a call one time. There was this known guy. He's got some mental health issues. There was a known guy who used to be quite disruptive in businesses and things like that. And on this particular occasion, he was reported as being in the middle of the road, screaming at cars, waving his hands around, right? That's how the call came out. So my partner and I, we rolled up and we saw him. But at the time we saw him, we knew who he was. We knew he had mental health problems, but he wasn't a danger to himself, right? And when we saw him, he wasn't in the street and he wasn't causing a disturbance. He was just walking at a very brisk pace. So we looked at that and we said, okay, well, we got the call for service. They said he was in the roadway. Could we have contacted him and said, hey, don't get in the roadway. We got a call of you in the roadway yelling at cars? We could have, but you know what? We chose not to, because at that particular moment, he wasn't in the roadway. He was just walking, wasn't committing any crimes or anything like that. So we just looked at it as there's no need to escalate a contact with this person and possibly get into some kind of physical altercation when all he's doing is walking right now, even though he was reported as being in the middle of the road disrupting cars. You see what I'm saying? And what happened? He went on about his business, went on and eventually walked on home, and that was the end of that. No confrontation, no physical altercation, or nothing like that. And I think that was the right call at that time, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that would have been. I mean, I think the approaches have to be done differently. If you can. Now, we know how information flows and things of that nature, and the officer has to react to that information that's given to him. But if you can take the time to get enough information so that you know what you're getting ready to get yourself into and how you're going to handle it, that's one step I think police departments could take to ensure something like this doesn't happen again. We're speculating. I don't know if the dispatch, put the contact information in there of the person that was making a call. I don't know if the officer had enough time. I don't know how soon before he got the call, before they rolled up on this young man, to be able to have enough time to call the caller to get information to make sure crime was committed. Because I think if it had more information based on what we've read and done in our little research on this case, if they had enough information, I think their approach to him would have been different.
Maybe. Or maybe these are some cops where they're used to detaining people that way on calls for service like that. And that's how they do it. Which in that case, I think, not sitting back now looking at it, hopefully they're looking at it in a way of, you know what, we could have handled that differently now because we didn't have a crime and all he was doing was walking down the street with a ski mask on. You see what I'm saying?
Now, I don't know, or I haven't read or heard of anything of these officers having any type of disciplinary issues. It didn't seem like they did. I mean, they weren't never angry. I don't even think they used profanity in it. I didn't hear any profanity used by.
No, there was one video I saw where one of them said something. I guess the guy was still kind of squirming around on the ground or something, which is like, okay, so what? He wasn't going nowhere. He's on the ground, handcuffed. He ain't getting up and moving.
I mean,
so what? And they made some off the wall statement like, "You better stop, or I'm going to get my dog and sick him on you," or something like that.
Yeah,
one of them made that statement. Dumb statement to make.
Statements, but I mean,
he didn't mean that literally, but he was something that.
But they would say things like that to scare you, to get you to relax. All right, he gonna get dog with me. I better chill out
like that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't want to get bit, so let me calm myself down.
Right. Right. That's why he said, does it sound good to say that, especially on camera? Excellent.
No.
Excellent. Don't sound good to say that. Okay. Especially now that you one of them officers getting charged and they painting you all over the media as, wow, they even mocked him and said they would sick a dog on him. You know what I'm saying? That's why it don't look good.
That's why they have to be careful about what they say on camera, because the media is going to nitpick everything they're saying and do on there.
But were these officers racially charged in this? We don't know these officers personally, but based on what I'm seeing, my feeling on it is I really can't say that this was racially charged. This was an incident that they handled the way they handle it. And looking back, I can see some improvements that could have been made. I bet you if they would have handled it a little bit different, like we said, Corey, that this may not have went down that way at all.
Right.
Maybe Elijah McClain would have been walking on home. But for our viewers out there, if you get stopped and they run up on you like that, always comply. Don't say I'm not. Don't just keep walking. If the officers tell you to stop, don't keep walking, because you're going to open up those doors for that particular officer maybe to feel like he got to go put hands on you. You see what I'm saying? If they say stop, they give you an order, whether you agree with it or not is beside the point. Stop, do what they say. If I was that person being stopped, whoa, okay, here you go, officer. My name's this. I just came from here. I'm headed here. What is it that you need? Can I ask you why you're stopping me? More than likely, they'll tell you, well, you were reported as suspicious. Okay, well, I don't want you to, I would take my mask off. Okay. And I don't want you to think I'm suspicious. So here's my name. What do you need from me? And that he would have been going home after that. You see what I'm saying? If that's how he would handle it.
Right. Again, like you said, your initial thing is to stay calm, right? And just stand there, even if it was like a regular traffic stop. We know that these things, people don't like being stopped. They don't like having their way of life at that moment interrupted. And we know that, and we understand that as officers, but you got to understand these guys and ladies have a job to do, right? So if they stop you, now you may not like their approach. They might say, hey, you stop right there wearing the black jeans and the ski mask. Stop right there. Right? If you know you are 100% innocent, don't get scared. Don't get startled and take off running because you think you're scared. Your number has been pulled to be shot by the police. Stop, listen to what they had to say, because chances are there's something that came up. They received some type of call or some type of personal interest or a subject that they're looking for, and all they need to do is make sure you're not the one they're looking for.
Right.
So just allow them to do that part, and you get to go on.
That's right.
Stay calm.
If they feel they need to handcuff you because you don't know what kind of information they have, you have no idea what's going on, but they do. So they're going to handcuff you to make things safe so that they can figure out, is this the person I need to deal with or not? Once they confirm that either you are or are not involved, they'll let you go. You know what I'm saying? You might get a statement from you or something, but they'll let you go. Never try to run from them. Never try to walk away. Don't do that.
You have to stay calm. You have to stay calm. You have to answer the questions. You listen to what they say, and then you're going to be able to go on.
Yeah.
If you're not the person of interest. But once you start that combativeness and getting smart and sassy with them and refusing to do what they're telling you, well, you're not making it easier on you, and they're gonna be more object to thinking, okay, well, maybe this is the guy I'm looking for because he ain't even trying to cooperate with me. Right? If you're not guilty, you have no reason not to cooperate with law enforcement. And that's all we're trying to say. And so please tell everybody out there to stay calm.
Stay calm. Stop. And you know what? If you get stopped and you kind of has the mind frame of you don't want to talk to the officers, just ask the officers. The first thing you can ask the officers, okay, officer, am I being held here? Am I free to leave? And if he says no, you're not free to leave, that means you are now detained and you have to stay there with that until they let you go.
Until they let you go.
But you can ask them that. Am I free to leave? A detention occurs when a reasonable person feels like they can't walk away, basically. Okay. And if you ask that question, you say, hey, officer, am I free to leave? And the officer will say sure or no, either one. If they say no, you got to stay there and continue until that officer's done what he's doing. Okay. He or she is doing. So that's all that is.
Yep. All right, everybody. Let us know what you think about this video. Yeah. Do you think these officers should have been charged in this case involving Elijah McClain? Or should it have just been the paramedics that have gotten charged with this? Let us know. Leave us a comment below. If you like the content of this video, please make sure you smash that like button for us. We need you. We're trying to get our likes up. We're trying to get our shares up, and we need to get our subscribers up. So y'all, please hit those 3 buttons, and let's keep this thing going. Let's get this conversation going out there as Mike and I keep telling everybody and teaching everybody about how to stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Thursday with our another live. We will have a special guest next week, Mike.
That's right. Special guest going to be on there. So you want to tune it in. If you are a gun owner and you want to know some things about owning a gun or what happens if you decide to get into a shooting as a civilian gun owner,
this is for you.
This is for you.
This is for you. There you go. All right, everybody. Y'all have a blessed weekend. We will see y'all next Thursday at 8 o'clock Eastern time.
All right.
In the meantime, peace, love, and happiness. Peace.